all locked in now.
Your home for the best sports radio in Utah is right here on the KSL Sports Zone. It's time to kick off your afternoon drive with Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
Allow me to introduce the best of the best.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob Ed, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Happy Wednesday to everybody out there. However you may be, whatever we're calling it.
Absorbing?
The show. Online. That's all I'm going to say. On the internet.
Yeah.
In a variety of fashions. Shout out to our friends from the future on the podcast. And our old-fashioned listeners over the airwaves. I can come up with a better nickname for our airwaves listeners. I'll work on it.
Okay. OGs, whatever.
OGs would be better
than
old-fashioned. I don't know. Does anybody like being called old-fashioned? I guess some people do.
Christian, what's your most old-fashioned thing that you do?
Give me a minute. I'll get back to you.
I do all sorts of
you
old-fashioned
are old-fashioned. And I don't mean that in a mean way. But you're pretty old-fashioned.
No, I lean into my old-fashioned nature.
Mm-hmm. You're not in a hurry to update everything that can be updated.
I'm not out to prove that I'm hip and young. I've never really been out to prove that I'm hip.
Correct.
Oh, I still use Facebook. That's my most old-fashioned
Okay.
thing. Yeah. Still use Facebook.
I still play bridge, and Christian's answer is I still play Facebook.
Yeah, right. You don't play Facebook, old-timer. But, yeah, you. Yeah.
We're a bridge family.
Yeah.
And my daughter is learning now, so we're
Okay.
going to pass that down the line.
Great.
You?
You know, the things that you might say about me that are old-fashioned are hipster things that have come back, like listening to vinyl. You know, it's like, I don't have an Apple Watch. Now, I did have one and I broke it, so I just didn't replace it, so I will wear an analog wristwatch.
Some of us never stopped listening to vinyl. Thank you very much. Yeah, okay. Well, I would throw that in the old-fashioned category, listening to vinyl.
But even then, it's because, for whatever reason, it's become cool again.
You were probably too young for this, but when I was in high school, swing dancing made a serious
Cottonwood Mall
comeback.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, who was the Zoot Suit Riot guy?
Yeah.
And like a couple of other bands all of a sudden are playing swing music.
The Cherry Poppin' Daddies, there were.
And it turned into this whole thing. Like if you were going to go on a date at Skyline High School in 1997, you were going swing dancing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Such a weird thing. I wouldn't hate it if Zoot Suits came back.
I would. I mean, that's what we were making fun of Cam Newton for wearing.
True. No, that's a good point.
Yesterday.
That's a good point.
So I don't need that.
Give me an excuse to bust out my tux.
You should just wear it every
Dude.
once a month. Just pick a random Thursday.
Have you ever tried to put something into the culture? Like tried to start a trend or something like that?
Like that?
I think that should be Christian's attempt.
Just
like walk around
casual
town
tux?
in that tux.
Tux
I
guy?
mean, yeah, like wear it over to Crown Burger. You know, wherever you go, oh, that's the tux guy. Kind of like the weird elf guy at the Jazz games.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could maybe pull it off.
How long until other people start catching on?
You mean start mimicking you or see that you're wearing a tux?
Mimic is like
emulating?
Yeah. How long until I could get other people to wear tuxedos to Crown Burger?
It wouldn't happen.
You'd have to really keep it up.
And then you turn into the elf guy at the Jazz games. Like, there's not other people wearing elf costumes at the Jazz game.
You guys know that story, right?
Uh-huh.
Do you know that story where
Do you know who the elf guy is at Jazz games? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I saw that dude at brunch once a few years ago. Just brunch, you know? Hanging out with the fam, having a little brunch. And the elf guy walked in dressed as the elf guy. I wouldn't have known who he was, but he's dressed as the elf guy. And I was like, God, he's really leaning into this character he created.
We've been doing this time slot since April 20th. We're going on, 4 months? May, June, July. 3 months.
Uh-huh.
One of our earliest bits, I think people have been listening to us now long enough in this time slot, recognizes be careful what you get famous for. And again, the elf costume is the ultimate Gene Simmons, like, congrats. Now you got to paint your face and have the long tongue every time you go out. I actually think that was just Gene Simmons' tongue. I don't think he's wearing a prosthetic. But
he's a rock star.
He is.
This is like a super fan. He could easily take the elf thing off.
Correct.
At brunch, for example.
Right. Yes.
Like there's known fans out there. I get it. People are out there to get some attention. Clipper Darrell, does he have a costume? I don't think, does he?
Yeah, he wears weird suits, right? He wears weird, like Clippers themed, like Clippers lining in some of his suits. Not always, but.
Who was the famous Donks fan, Christian?
Wore a barrel?
Yeah,
the barrel guy?
The barrel guy?
Yeah.
Or what, Fireman Clark in New York, the fireman, whatever it is. When those guys go to like barrel guy goes to brunch, is he rocking the barrel?
Yeah, I hope he takes the barrel off. Pretty impractical to sit anywhere with the barrel on.
I mean, I don't. Would he have the impulse though?
Who was the first guy who thought I can't afford clothes, but if I strap some suspenders on this barrel, it'll be just fine.
Oh no, I'm sure that was a prove how tough you are thing, right?
You think that was always a gag?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't think anybody. Dolce and Gabbana wasn't throwing out their latest barrel.
I was literally talking to my mother this morning about the Depression and how her grandmother used potato sacks to make dresses out of. There weren't textiles around. You didn't have a lot of access to fabric. So people in the Depression, because people are amazing, just made do with what you had. You had to get whatever delivered in your burlap sack, and then you turned your burlap sack. You found a second use for it. We don't think the barrel was someone aging whiskey or whatever.
Doubled up his pants? No.
Well, I can't afford clothes, but I got a couple of leather straps I can put on this barrel and wear it out.
No, I mean, if you really want to go down that angle, I could see it as no.
Did you see what Dale wore to work today?
No, I don't think so. I think it always had to be a
barrel on.
It's always had to be a gag.
A pair of suspenders.
But I don't think he was wearing that at brunch. I don't think Clipper Darrell is. Maybe Clipper Darrell's wearing the suit at brunch. I don't know. Is he really? I wonder if he signs autographs.
Mm-hmm.
The Jazz #1, I would say, celebrity fan, not Wilford Brimley, like celebrity who's a fan, but celebrity fan was the Doctor, and he has since passed, I believe. I don't know. Oh, then there was the grandmas. Mm-hmm. Remember them in the pink?
They have both passed.
They have both passed.
There was also the guy who always wore the pink shirt, sat at the mid-court line, 50-yard line, like 13 rows up.
Now, are we stuck with either the elf guy or the two idiots in the two small uniforms that dance around? Is that what we're left with now?
I do think, it's funny, I got asked this on my podcast yesterday.
About weird fans?
Do you know have you ever seen the Utah Jazz history girl on social media, on Twitter? She has some connection to somebody. She's a big Jazz fan. She has collected a bunch of memorabilia. She knew the old Jazz barrel, so has recently passed away, John. She just has some connection. And their question in the mailbag was are those fans serving a purpose? Do they fill a value for the team? And I said, I guess in a sense, because you know who Clipper Darrell is. You know who the fireman is. You know who Christian's barrel friend is, who watches the donkeys. The donks, as you like to say. There is some inherent value, I guess. The doc had some value. I mean, we just talked about Ben Stiller for 2.5 months instead of doing playoff coverage. We argued whether Ben Stiller was famous or not.
The answer to your question is undeniably yes. Yes. Those people, those two, listen, the fans matter more than everybody else. We forget about it. The fans actually matter more than the players.
They're the reason they
believe
exist.
it or not.
Yeah.
The fans matter. And so often the fans are treated like they don't. But, hey, it's not my responsibility to elect their standout fans or whatever, you know. But they create the environment and the character that actually is the team.
You're right.
Does that make any sense?
100%.
Players come and go, front offices come and go, owners come and go. But the fans always remain consistent. And Utah Jazz basketball wouldn't be Utah Jazz basketball without the environment created at Delta Center by Weird Elf Guy and the two small jerseys and the grandmas and the doctor and everybody else. Absolutely. And shout out to John, the bear, 1,000%.
Yeah.
And as hokey as I find a lot of it, do you remember the the cameraman that used to put the horse head on. As I just find it silly, but it is what makes that environment. I mean, you can put in a zillion lights and boards and all these things to create a fan experience, but the actual people are the ones who create it. And I think the Mammoth are proving that concept from like ground level, like the Jazz in 1985. It's the Mammoth. They're creating the environment. They're going to have their idiot standout fan surface soon enough. And the Zamboni, what is it? The Mamboni?
The Mamboni.
What are we calling it?
It's the Zamoth.
The Zamoth?
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of it, right?
Absolutely.
So yes, those people do matter. As weird as it is that I think that the elf guy, went to brunch in the elf costume. Whatever, he's got value. Absolutely.
I said the same thing. I couldn't put a dollar amount on it, and I think that's kind of the question. Jazz Nation News, who aggregates every piece of jazz news that comes out anywhere, comes out from KSLSports.com, Trib, Dez, whatever we do, the podcast, whatever, fans. They aggregate everything. They put it on their social media. That is a role. It does expose a lot of casual fans who don't have the time or money to be able to invest their entire life into following the Utah Jazz. That gives them a touch point. I said that does have value. And this is not to degrade anybody, including Utah Jazz History Girl, Jazz Nation News, the Doc, whoever, all these fans we're talking about. I said the one thing that you have to realize, which I think you certainly have a very good sense of, not everyone in the media does, I think you and I both do recognize it, is those fans, just like us, are infinitely replaceable. That doesn't mean what you're doing is not of value. But Jake, if you leave, the Jazz will get somebody else to do a pre-half and post-game show.
I would assume they wouldn't retire the job. No.
But when the Doc, rest his soul, was the Jazz fan, he passed away, and the next year somebody sat in that seat and the team played another season. So while there is value, and they do certainly craft the culture, shape the culture of the team, nobody is irreplaceable. I mean, the players aren't irreplaceable. The coaches aren't irreplaceable. So in that sense, while there is certain value, it doesn't mean irreplaceability.
But fans, and this is the big fear of teams, right? Fans as a whole are not replaceable. Correct. And there is a certain mob mentality to it in a positive and a negative. See the New York Jets, that it can really spin out either way on you, and that's why franchises have to be uberly careful, because fans are important and they are what matter. Those people that you're mentioning, us for that matter, we have an audience because of the team. Now, what do we do with that? Or not audience, that's not even what I'm looking for. Audience is something a little bit more personal, but we have interest because of the team, or because of the Mammoth, or because of sports in general. And then I guess it is what you do with it. But is anybody bigger than in radio? Is anybody bigger than the topic?
No,
nobody.
Absolutely not.
Rush Limbaugh was not bigger than politics.
Correct. He was a gateway.
And he used it, and it was the reason he had an audience, which is why I'm saying it's a little more.
Yes.
There's next level to it, but he was never bigger than the subject, than what was the reality of what you were covering. New York Times is not bigger than the news.
Correct. It exists because of the news.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a delicate relationship. That's why I think that credibility is, as far as we're talking about our radio audience, I would like to think that our audience doesn't expect you or me to be right all the time, probably not even close, but we have credibility in our honesty.
Certainly not listener from the future, Jared, who listens at the gym now.
I mean,
and says it's crazy how often you guys are wrong.
Yeah, it happens.
Apologies.
But I'm not coming on and being dishonest.
No.
I mean, I'm coming on and putting on a show, but I'm not out to, to represent anybody but you, Christian, myself, and to a lesser extent, Salazar, But we are not bigger than the Jazz, as much as I'd like to think that, or bigger than the Mammoth or RSL or the sports culture here in Utah. There would be another afternoon drive show after we somehow get fired.
Our mutual friend and my former mutual co-host, Kyle Gunther, who was in a lot of senses a lot of ways a star. He was kind of a radio star. He was a big personality. He was unique. At times, I don't want to say shtick, that sounds demeaning, but his opinions were by themselves a draw. He was the first person to instill in me, remember, the team is the star. Whether you're talking about BYU football, Utah football, the Utah Jazz, the NFL, whatever it is, that is the star of the show. Even though Kyle himself was such a big personality and unique, he certainly recognized this doesn't exist without that, the sport. And certainly I think that, going back to our conversation about the value of fans, the fans have to be there. The fans are still not bigger than the team as individuals, but certainly the fan base as a whole is the reason the team does exist.
Yeah, and the connection that fans have with sports and with their teams is the ultimate free marketing tool. It really is. You know, coming back to, do the talk snap people have value? Yes. Do the other fans have value? Yes. Here, I'll give you a funny example. In the Outer Banks, there's this drive-through convenience store. So you don't get out of your car. You just drive through it. You can buy beer, wine, soda, whatever, like a drive-through 7-Eleven. It's called the Brew-Through. And every year they do a new T-shirt. And they market themselves as the world's coolest convenience store. And I have bought a Brew-Through T-shirt for 30 years. Every single year for 30 years, to the point that before my wife and I got married and we were just dating, she's like, "Oh, you have his Brew-Through shirts." It's like, yeah, kind of. Do you know, I often wonder how much interest has me wearing a stupid shirt created in this convenience store? Not much, but some. I'll give you a couple examples. At least a dozen times here in Utah and across the country, I have had somebody come up to me and say, "You know about the Brew-Through?"
Yeah.
My other example, we went out there with some friends a couple of years ago. First thing they wanted to do,
go to the Brew-Through.
Know what they went home with? Brew-Through
shirts.
T-shirts.
Yep.
And you're just a fan of the concept, and it becomes cool or whatever, and all of a sudden I'm wearing T-shirts marketing a stupid convenience store.
Yeah.
But sports is the ultimate of that.
It's the perfect example.
And to the Jets, they have treated their fans like garbage. Garbage for years. And somehow there are still Jets fans. Somehow. Now, there could be way more Jets fans if they happen to be a little better. But somehow Kevin Graham is still rooting for the Jets.
Right.
It's a wild thing. And it's the reason that sports franchises are so valuable. And unfortunately, it's the reason the college football teams are so valuable. Because there's just not another product in the world that commands that kind of loyalty from large groups of people. There's just not. Maybe soda companies come close. But, I mean, we could think of some other products out there. Politics is a different animal because
it is.
This is my bleeding. It shouldn't be that way in politics, and it certainly ends up that way. But other brands out there that just command, like if PlayStation, here's my old-fashioned take for you. If PlayStation creates a bad product, you're just going to buy an Xbox.
Yeah, and that actually is exactly what happened. Xbox briefly took the lead. Their latest generation stunk. The PlayStation 5 is very good, and PlayStation 5 just won. It's where everyone went.
And I'm sure there are some weirdos out there, because I remember this with the, what was after the Sega Genesis? It's like the Sega CD or something.
The Saturn.
And people were just like, "No, I'm staying with my Sega." But the rest of the world went over to Nintendo. Yeah, right. And it just, in sports, it's just so much more loyalty and so much more passion and so much more willingness to spend gobs of dollars and spend hours of time consuming in a variety of different ways. And God bless it. I love it.
It's a great product.
It is a great product. Yeah. It's a unifier.
Win or lose, it's a great product.
For the most part, it's positive, unless you're talking about Draymond Green or something. You know, everybody, it gives you, I mean, I've talked about this a million times, but do you know how many weird lawyer events I've had to go to where the only thing I have in common with the people I'm talking to is
sports.
Oh, yeah. You saw that the other day? Oh, yeah. You know, people, honestly, I don't often like talking what I do for a living, but in those types of events, I'm excited when people find out what I do for a living, because all of a sudden, instead of like, Well, the weather was pretty hot today. We at least are talking about something that I can pass the time. At least I could be like, oh, yeah, I didn't see that third down. Oh, it was really simple. Oh, you're a Weber State fan. Oh, how that Eric Kerr, he's really changing things up. Whatever it is. I told you at the Women Lawyers of Utah event, I ran into Big Con, who was Robert Conley, whose wife is she's a big deal attorney.
Oh, is she?
And so it was fun. Speaking of our friend Kyle Gunther, we just swapped Gunther stories the whole night. But it was funny to see him in the same boat I was, just out on like where you'd picture us to be too, like out on the patio.
Yeah, right. Leaning against the wall,
away from everything.
Yeah, we're out on the balcony.
Slightly intimidated by everybody in the room.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That was us.
That's great.
It was like, hey, Big Con, you want to talk some football? Kyle Gunther was an interesting guy, huh?
Yeah.
Like, what time is it?
Yep. No, I'm totally with you.
But no, shout out to those fans. And hey, listen, I'm not a social media talk snap person, but lots of people are, and it's a way to communicate. And every time one of those person talk snaps something about the Jazz, because they are such big fans, the Jazz benefit. 100%. That weird elf guy has value.
They spend a fortune. The Utah Jazz spend a fortune to exist and get so much free advertising. Still, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yep. Good for them. Sports
is
great.
Sports is one of the great things about the world, and everyone participates in some type of sport, but our country.
I guess long story short, I wish people would pay more attention to the fans. Maybe not the elf guy, but maybe, your normal fan could get a break once in a while.
Yeah.
Because people are mining that passion. And if we could find a way to get people in the building sometimes for, a reasonable
Less
amount of
than
money,
$95
which they do.
per ticket.
By the way,
They
they do plenty of community programs and all that. Our guy Nate Martinez in the Junior Jazz program, they told me how many tickets they give away every year, and it's wild. So it's
they do.
It's not like they don't put an effort into
Sure.
it, but I do think the fan gets priced out of it a lot, and it stinks.
Yeah.
I mean, heaven forbid you just try to watch your NFL on TV. How many different streaming services do we remember?
No, it's crazy. I mean, the NBA, Prime, NBC, Peacock. I know those are tied together, but sometimes they're not on both. But some are on NBC and some are not on NBC, and you have to watch on Peacock specifically. ESPN. I think there's one more that I'm missing.
Did you say Prime?
I said Prime first, but there's at least 4, and I think, plus NBA TV, and then maybe whatever if you have a regional sports network.
Jazz Plus.
Sure. Yeah, it's a lot. That's tasking people with a lot.
But they will pull out their wallets. Last example. During every single dispute for DirecTV or Dish Network, what do they rally the sports fans?
Yes, they do.
They're like, you're not going to get to watch your team.
No one's like, can you believe you're not going to watch Real Housewives?
Dude,
give us a call. It's always your sports team.
Your Matlock fans aren't picking up the phone and hollering. They are passionate, though.
They are, but there's so few.
Isn't there a Matlock reboot?
I believe there is. No, there's a Murder, She Wrote reboot.
I think there's a Matlock one, too.
Yeah.
Hollywood has totally run out of ideas.
Out of ideas.
Although the Perry Mason reboot on HBO was pretty good.
It was good. It was dark, but it was good.
It was. We've been all over the place here. Shout out to the fans. Shout out to our great listeners.
So I shouldn't wear the tux to Crown Burger?
You should.
Oh, okay.
If you're trying to get it to catch on. Jamie Lee Curtis will be the new Angela Lansbury in Murder, She Wrote.
Wow, well cast.
That's a good get. I bet it's a miniseries, I would suspect.
No.
Oh, it's a movie. It's not even a TV show. It's a movie.
Okay, it's What You Got Wednesday. Movie stars transition to TV roles.
Okay. Not the other way around.
No, because it's way more common now. TV used to be taboo. Nobody, no big stars were doing TV. Now big stars are doing TV constantly. We were talking about Christian's favorite Annette Bening the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, 98. Annette Bening's not being caught dead on a TV show.
Ed Harris.
Absolutely.
Now, we may never catch Ed Harris on another TV show because they're writing him out of his performances.
But like Kevin Costner's transition to the Yellowstone guy, pretty good.
Yes. Oh, it's glamorous. It's a pretty glamorous role now.
Yeah.
You can do glamour TV.
All right. We'll chop that up.
Matlock reboot is a gender-swapped legal drama starring Kathy Bates.
Another one.
Yeah.
Her name's not Ben, though. Because that was
Ben
his
Matlock.
name. Ben Matlock,
No,
wasn't that
no.
his name?
Yeah, it was his name.
Good pull by me. I haven't thought about Ben Matlock in
You know
years.
who had a good career was that Andy Griffith.
You think?
Because he went from the Andy Griffith show, and then he did Matlock forever.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen an episode of Matlock, Christian?
No.
Do you know the concept?
No.
Oh, it's great. It's a courtroom drama.
It's kind of a courtroom drama, and he's also, for whatever reason, does a little investigative work. He's like also
Because
kind of.
isn't he a small town attorney?
It's a small town attorney, but he's also like solving crimes while he's doing the Law and Order thing.
It's great.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's like kind of a private investigator.
Dude, the old Perry Mason was good too.
Yeah, it was.
Shout out to Raymond Burr.
Yeah.
My mom still watches that because it comes on some channel. You know, all the zillion channels.
One day
you
we
got
should
these
just
days.
draft old TV shows.
Oh man, we could do that.
Yeah.
Do enough people know though?
Well, Christian
And
doesn't. Apparently, Christian's not heard of Magnum PI.
Yeah, what constitutes old?
Well, yeah, I don't think it can have been on TV with new episodes like in the last 15 years.
Oh, that's basically new. That's like fresh produced.
Well,
You're throwing like I don't even. You're throwing like The Office in there.
Sure, right. That's too new. Maybe
Right.
it has to be pre-2000.
Something.
Yeah,
Like
that
that.
was 26 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
I was born in 1986. If you said 26 years before that, that would have been every TV show before 1960, which, yes,
I know.
feels very old to me.
It
So
should.
if we go back to the 90s, I think that counts.
Ben, you're 40.
I know.
I hate to
I'm
bring
washed.
it to you. Yeah,
I'm washed.
You're not washed. Listen, you're just you are who you are. It's okay. It's all right. No 20-year-old ever looked at any 40-year-old and said, "God, that guy's cool."
Guy's cool.
That's never happened ever.
You know who's cool? That guy, that 40-year-old.
So the sooner people of our age, and yes, we are in our 40s, start realizing that, the better.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Christian can still pretend to be cool.
He is.
I don't know if Christian's ever been cool, but he can at least pretend. He's young enough to pretend.
He wears that tuxedo all the time, trying to look cool.
I was 20 and looked at a 25-year-old and was like, that dude's pretty cool.
Yeah. But there is a line where you're like,
Yeah.
someone X amount of years older than you is no longer cool.
Dude, we crossed it. And it doesn't mean that we can't communicate with the younger people.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't be a phony. They can spot it from a mile away.
Yep.
Stay tuned. More next. Most random segment in radio. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. It is time for the top 3 stories of the day at KSLSports.com. Brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love with J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials. J. Brooks Jewelers. All right, Christian, what have you curated for us today?
Number 1, BYU's Ephraim Asiata was charged with DUI, among other things, this morning.
Reading right from the report, suspicion of drunk driving under the influence and providing false identification to a police officer. Let's see here. Quote, BYU had a statement, said, quote, "We are aware of the situation and it is currently under evaluation by the university." He was pulled over. Apparently, Ben, this happened a while ago, July 2nd. 2 other people were in the vehicle. He identified himself by JF, apparently at some point handing over documents that were not his. A deputy reported smelling alcohol in the car, noticed his red glassy eyes. He took a sobriety test and failed. And a portable breath test was administered showing a blood alcohol content of 0.087.
Okay. So he was over the legal limit. This was not just an underage person drinking. I don't know
Yes.
how old he is.
After his arrest, deputies obtained a warrant for blood and urine samples, and a urine sample came back positive for alcohol and for THC. So that is what we know.
Okay. Not great for BYU. Somebody who they could probably love to see step up. Not that linebackers have ever really been an issue for BYU. Finding the right linebackers to step in, though. And, I mean, what do I need to get up here and tell you? Don't drink and drive, don't smoke weed and drive, or whatever his issues allegedly are. And, yeah, this stinks. This is too bad for him. Crummy for BYU. I do think the linebacker room is going to be interesting for BYU without Jack Kelly now, and which direction they go and where they find success and how that looks. That's one of the areas where things could look significantly different because the defense will feel different because Jay Hill is no longer there, and we will see how your guy going to be golden. K-pop does.
Always with these stories, Christian and I were talking off the air about how fans of opposing schools or whatever will take these kind of stories and spike the football, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And I think it's always healthy to remind people that Ephraim Asiata has made a really bad decision, and he's going to pay the consequences for that bad decision. And I feel for him because he's going through it, and he has a lot to lose, and now we'll suffer those consequences. So I just use these as a reminder to remind people we got to make good decisions, but people do fall short. And this isn't good. I'm not excusing anything. I'm not trying to anyway, but I do feel for people who make mistakes.
It's a young person making a mistake that not just young people make. Lots of people make this mistake, and obviously don't do it. And obviously Ephraim Asiata kind of came into the spotlight after getting shot when he was 15 years old in that horrendous shooting where 2 of his friends died. I mean, this has been a tough life for this kid. So I'm rooting for him to be okay.
BYU's linebacker room will be fine because BYU's linebacker room is always fine, and whatever. I would guess if we talked to the coaches today about Ephraim Asiata, they would be concerned for him as a person. So let's just remind, we talked about the passion fans have for sports. It's because fans often view it as a TV show and forget that they're real people. Yeah, he played for BYU, but let's not be celebrating a bad situation.
Again, because of what has happened to him and happened to him when he was still in high school, this is not the worst day of his life, but this is certainly not a moment certainly he's proud of.
No.
And yes, to your point, what do we need to spike the football on him, dunk on him?
No.
That's not going to do anything. You know who I suspect is extraordinarily well equipped to help in this situation? Mr. Kalani Sitake. That is a very good person. That's a good man. That's like a guy who's going to know how to probably show you some tough love, but also some tenderness when you need it, because it seems like Kalani's done that with every single person he's ever come across in his life. So I hope this has a good ending.
Yeah.
This stinks for this kid. Too. It stinks for BYU. It would stink if it was at any school. So hope things turn out well for him as a person in general.
Agreed.
And then this situation, and he can move past it. And also, I hope he gets room to move past it.
Yep.
I hope people give him space to grow up.
Totally.
Yeah.
And on a day like today where the news breaks, and I'm sure he's doing his best to avoid it all, but tough.
Yep.
All right. What's next?
Number 2, The Athletic put out an article yesterday ranking college football teams by their valuation. He has Utah as the most valuable team in the Big 12.
Yeah, so this is kind of an interesting article.
So I purposely didn't read this, and I can explain. I could explain to you why, but explain it to me, because maybe I'm wrong.
Essentially, is if you had NCAA football teams on the market the way you could an NFL team or an NBA team or whatever, how much would they be worth? What would they sell for based on market, ticket sales, all the things that we know go into why the Dallas Cowboys are more valuable than the Cleveland Browns?
Okay.
And the most valuable team is the Texas Longhorns. And per The Athletic, the estimation is about $2.46 billion. I think it surprised some people here that Utah is apparently the most valuable Big 12 team. I think it comes in at number 26 on the list, and the Utes are valued at $638 million.
Can you be, maybe you can't, more specific about the criteria?
Let me pull up, because the first paragraphs here, the article here doesn't explain exactly the criteria.
The reason that I ignore these things is because it's just some guy or gal making it up. I mean, think about this. How many clickbaity, where does your state rank in terms of livability? and then you open it up because, wow, I want to find out where Utah ranks.
Yeah.
And then you see it, and most people see it and go, well, this is just a dang fact. But then you look at the criteria, even when it comes to numbers, what you're weighting, and you look through the criteria and you go, well, this is just something that somebody made up.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe sometimes the stats have some weight, but how do you weigh the stats and what do you put it into? And most of the time it's just some idiot writer who needs something to write about who throws it together, and it really doesn't mean anything, but everybody wants to click on it because what is my school worth? So I have no idea what these schools are worth. I mean, even people who are supposed to know such things, like the Utah professor who knew how much the Pac-12 was worth in a media rights negotiation, even people who are like a professor on the subject are really just talking out their rear end.
Yeah.
So I ignore that sort of thing on purpose because people get all bent out of shape about it, and you know what it means? Nothing.
Utah's not going to go up for sale.
Do you think this athletic writer knows the intricacies of BYU and its relationship with the church and how much that would be worth or how much comes along with that? You think this person has a clue?
Right.
No. Or has a clue about Utah and what the Ocho capital injection and what all that stuff could possibly mean.
Mm-hmm.
Do they have a clue about any of that? No. So I don't know. What is some guy's objective to make a ranking? Well, I think it would sell for this much.
Part of this is due to the idea of how much money could you get from a private equity company.
Okay.
Which is kind of now. This is not the first year they've done this article, but it's partly inspired by that concept. Mm-hmm. Utah is at the top of the list now because in the Big 12, they're the only one who's done this private equity deal. So to your point, as of today, it might have more value because they've done private equity. They have this investment. Today, that makes them more valuable than BYU. If BYU were to take itself to market for private equity, or any of the other Big 12 schools, maybe somewhere in Texas, could get more money than Utah, or Arizona could get more money than Utah, all of a sudden they become more valuable. So to your point, I'm with you. I saw this floating around all over social media, people bragging about Utah having this value. Some of that's also, it's like, is it because you own, several hundred acres in Salt Lake City and the value that actually exists there? Just like the actual land you own has a certain amount of value. To your point, I'm not taking this for anything. None of these schools are ever actually for sale. It's not a thing. I don't mind the hypothetical concept of it, but if you're talking about sales price of it, I guess it's kind of interesting, but it's not going to do a whole lot for you.
You know what? A Ute fan listener went up to a BYU fan listener at the water cooler today and said, "Did you see that our program is worth way more than yours?"
You guys are pathetic.
That was the point. That guy's editor is out of ideas. Mm-hmm. And he knows that money is a big story in college sports.
You gotta get
so he pulled this writer aside and he said, "Write me something about values of universities." And this is what that guy came up with. Mm-hmm. And surprisingly, as you note, lacking specificity. Color me surprised.
Yeah. Also, it has to do with the amount of revenue you bring in. Hence, Texas, Ohio State, Notre Dame being the top three teams.
I wonder if this writer came up with the ranking or the criteria first.
Yeah.
Well, Texas has got to be number one, right? So we'll just scratch that in there.
Figure out how to get there.
Texas, and then Ohio State's got to be number two.
By the way, quickly, I'll read you. This is what they said about Texas. The Longhorns, somewhat surprisingly, didn't report the most football revenue in 2024-25's fiscal year, but Texas's three-year average of $190 million is number one in the country and enough to stay number one on this list. The valuation puts Texas on par with the 2020 sale of the New York Mets of $2.4 billion, not adjusted for inflation. So even to the point, though, of what you're saying is, well, the year we're looking at, 2024-25, when they started to build this valuation, actually doesn't mean they're the most valuable. But if we zoom out long enough, it does fit with Texas being number one.
You look into that writer's background, they wrote it, or they graduated from Texas at some point.
Yeah,
right. Somewhere on there, Texas A&M is coming in at like 25th.
Yeah, right.
Christian, where did SUU come in?
Well, this school only lists the top. I think this list only lists the top 100. So
These
I think
are
SUU's
it's just P4.
Okay.
It's just P4.
So SCU's probably right there, 135,
101. Yeah, right
136?
outside.
Should be.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Number 3, the SEC and Big Ten were supposed to make a decision on the Protect College Sports Act this morning, but shocker, no news.
They were saying the deadline was because they're going to have August recess, right? And so if it was to get done now, it would have to get done now. And I think that was a long shot. I don't know if this means it's dead, though. It may take some of the urgency off it, which, of course, is how anything ever gets done.
I think the hard part about this is the rules change seemingly every summer. So the bill that you laid out with the design of implementing this year, or at least attacking some of the problems we've run into this year, may not apply to what we find out is the biggest problem next year, because that's how quickly things are changing. For a while, the biggest problem seemed to be, well, how do you limit the transfer portal? Do you need to have a year off in between transferring from one school to another? Or is it okay to just go, one season to the next with a totally different program? That seemed to be the big issue. And then it was, these players need to get paid something. So let's find a way to get them fair NIL deals. And then, of course, as you projected, and a lot of people projected, you're not getting actually paid for your services. Or you're not getting paid for your name, image, and likeness.
No.
You're getting paid for play. But they're just not calling it that. But you're not raking in $3 million because you went and did an ad for the local car wash. But there is some donor willing to give you $5 million to be the starting quarterback at his school, a la Cody Campbell. So that was the big problem. And then it's expansion. And then it's playoff. And next year it could be something totally different. But in the brief time, we've been talking about regulating college football, every single one of those has had its time in the spotlight as the single biggest problem we're facing. The BCS. Is the college football fair? Do we need a new system, et cetera? All of those things we've run into. This bill designed to tackle certain things now, and I know it's vast. It's not trying to just accomplish one thing. It's trying to accomplish many. I suspect it will not feel all that up to date if it doesn't get pushed through now, which it's not going to. So next year, I don't know how it's going to apply to anything.
Well, I mean, they could do it in the fall.
Hope so.
They need to get it done. Honestly, they should get it done before the election because you'd think they want to run on it. But so if it might be dead in the water after the election because then you get a new Congress next year and different priorities emerge depending on what's going on in the world, to your point. So maybe there should be more urgency because this feels like the most momentum it's had. But you know what? Can I tell you? I think I'm starting to side more with your guy, Tommy Tuberville, out of Alabama, where he's so Cruz and what's the other senator's name? The Democrat,
Claire
Cantwell. What they're doing is
Maria Cantwell.
this big monster. It's limiting the size of conferences. It's got all these other wonky rules. They're trying to tackle it all at once. And Tuberville's is just 5 to play 5 and 1 transfer. That's all that he wants to put in there. I'm starting to think, start somewhere. And I happen to think eligibility is the most urgent problem. Out of all the lists, who can play? Who is eligible to play? And what are the rules for being at schools? Because signing 2-year contracts doesn't mean anything. So how long do you have to be at a school? How long are you eligibility? Back to our Caitlin Clark thing. She should have sued to stay at Iowa. Sued for more eligibility. She would have made way more money.
Way more.
And would have been a bigger deal, but she went to the WNBA. They got to fix that. They got to figure out who is eligible. That's the very basic. And then throw in the transfer rule. And then you know what? Maybe you tackle the rest down the line. Because nobody's going to agree on the NIL stuff. The SEC and the Big Ten aren't going to agree on anything, let alone have the Big 12 and the rest of the college come along. We need something basic. Maybe you just pass that basic. We get that laid down, and then we can proceed. But all these people playing 8 years of college sports because it's extremely lucrative is, I think, the most unsustainable of the unsustainable.
I agree with you. Cruz and Cantwell are trying to eat the elephant.
Yeah.
And Tuberville, you're right. I swear by everything he does.
You donated to his campaign?
I actively, every paycheck, there's just some comes out.
That's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah. Well, I'm a big believer. But He is. Saying like, let's start with a bite. Let's start with one thing first and then solve the problems that come off of that, or then tackle the next thing. But trying to get it all done in one huge bill is obviously going to be impossible.
But the fear is that you have the votes now. We don't know if he has the votes, but if you have the votes to pass it, you may never have the vote.
You may never get them again.
You may never get the votes again.
Right.
That's why they jam a zillion things into every bill that actually has the votes to pass, because they're like, we may never get the votes again.
Right. There's some popularity for this now. Let's put everything we can into whatever.
Because that is the fear.
The big beautiful bill, or Obamacare, or whatever. Every party does it.
Oh, have you ever looked at what's actually included in the farm bill?
No.
It's far from just
everything.
Agriculture.
Yeah.
It's just how it works.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the big fear, is like you can strip it down and get it over the hump for a couple of rules, but man, the rest may never get there. But that's the risk you got to run, I think.
Yeah.
Because they gotta figure out eligibility. That's true.
I'm with you. That might be the best place to start.
All right, more next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.